Hi, welcome to Stuff of the Week, episode 23, where I talk about all the stuff I was up to, the stuff I read, the stuff I watched, or the stuff I added to my collection during the first week of June 2026. So let's get started, shall we? First off, over the weekend, I live streamed with David at Garage Geek slash Jigsaw Geek. We've been chatting back and forth for a while, have appeared on other live streams together, but this is the first one we did, just the two of us, and it was a lot of fun, although I tried to watch it after the fact, and my goodness, does my ADHD take over a couple of times, and do I go on a ramble? Oh, apologies. But, yeah, welcome to my brain. But the trip down the rabbit holes and the wandering into the weeds was worth it. I'll put a link in the description of this video, and if you want to check it out, it was a lot of fun. I always look forward to talking with David or with Jeff or with any of them. It's a lot of fun, and it's nice to have been welcomed into these online communities of other YouTubers that talk about the kind of quirky stuff that I enjoy. So, let's all enjoy this geek experience a little bit longer, okay? The other thing I mentioned in there is I was going to be doing some slight modifications to this. The stuff of the week was starting to get pretty unwieldy. They're getting up to be an hour long because the Wayback Machine section is also pretty labor intensive, and it just covers a lot of ground. So what I decided to do was cut the recording in half. So this is just stuff of the week. I'll end it when I'm done talking about the stuff, and then take a moment and then start a new show called Ads from the Week. So while there'll be a 24-hour break between the videos, they're recorded in one fell swoop. So excuse me, my dress won't change. I wear the same shirt, hat, everything. But one will go up, stuff will go up on its regular allotted time slot of 3:15 in the morning on Saturday, and Ads from the Week will go up on its allotted time slot of its new allotted time slot of Sunday, 3:15 in the morning. So the weekend will be filled with Chadwick's channel of stuff for you to enjoy. And that's the kind of the maintenance and the online aspect. So I'm going to move over now to the purchases. And we had a big one this week. This was one I hemmed and hawed about getting for a while because just didn't know, but ultimately, I bit the bullet and said, yeah, I'm going to do it. So I ordered Sangster Directs Hammer, a 7-disc box set from Severin that collects together the only three feature films that screenwriter Jimmy Sangster directed, which were The Horror of Frankenstein from 1970, Lust for a Vampire from 1971, and Fear in the Night, which I believe is from 1972. And nice little set here. I'm going to actually decide to open it up and talk about why. While the movies themselves aren't highly regarded classics, let's say, it's interesting because on the Severin podcast, they talk about how Studio Canal has gone through and done 4K restoration scans of their Hammer library, and a lot of other boutique labels or other larger labels bought up the rights to, of course, the ones that you would expect. In fact, I think Kino Lorber snagged Scars of Dracula, which was released on a double bill as part of a double bill with Horror of Frankenstein, which I'll be getting to in a moment. But nobody was touching the Sangster films because they're just not that highly regarded in the Pantheon. And David Gregory, who is the CEO or owner of Severin, or co-founder, decided, hey, let's give some respect to these guys and these trio of films. And so that's where the box set with a redonkulous 18 hours combined hours of comprehensive special features. And it also comes with a book, which I will kind of censor here because the lady is topless in this shot because, Hammer glamour. But it's horror, lust, fear, sangster, and it's basically, this book is a collection of essays, articles, and even, let me see if I can get to it, graphic novel adaptations of the films. So you have a graphic novel of Horror of Frankenstein, graphic novel of Lust for a Vampire, and a graphic novel of Fear of the Night. But we have here a plethora of essays and excerpts from interviews and here a big couple of about 300 plus pages here of stuff. We have David Gregory giving an introduction, an excerpt from Jimmy Sangster's autobiography called "They Would Have Been Better Directed by Terry Fisher." There's also an essay by Ramsey Campbell and Wayne Kinsey, Greg Turnbull, Daryl Buxton, Simon Ballard, Ian Taylor, Carolyn Morissette, Kat Ellinger, Bruce Hallenbeck, Chris Alexander. This is just really great. It's just a lot of illustrations of ads and stuff. This is just incredible. I noticed this too. I'm going to just go now to the first disc in the set, which is Horror of Frankenstein. There you have Ralph Bates being Dr. Frankenstein in this. I guess it was an attempt to relaunch the Frankenstein franchise with a new, younger Frankenstein. And in fact, there's even in here, there is a interview, I think, with Ralph Bates and Peter Cushing, clip from a TV interview they did about passing the torch, but unfortunately the torch didn't really capture, and it turned out that Hammer would go back and do one more film with Peter Cushing, which I really didn't make the connection until I was looking at this, that David Prowse, who was best known for a lot of geeks for playing Darth Vader in Star Wars, or at least the physical presence of Darth Vader. The voice was done, of course, by James Earl Jones. But David Prowse played the Frankenstein monster in two Frankenstein films, The Horror of Frankenstein and the follow-up, which was Peter Cushing's last time as the Mad Doctor, literally, because he's in an insane asylum, in Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell. So Prowse and Cushing did Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell, and then 2 years later they were working together again on Star Wars. So I just love that. This is I think this is just, on here you have an archival interview with Veronica Carlson. You have a 1997 reunion panel that would feature Jimmy Sangster, Dave Prowse, and Veronica Carlson. all three of which who are no longer with us. And excuse me, I just got a text. Okay. And then you have Younger Frankenstein, which is an interview with the assistant director and the camera operator and a production runner, because they're running out of people who are alive that worked on these movies. One Frankenstein after another, 125 years of cinematic adaptations. Then the life and work of Mary Shelley. The Unhallowed Arts, the creation myth of Mary Shelley. And then you have you have the trailers for the double feature of Scars of Dracula and Horror of Dracula, and the TV spots, and the alternate opening credits for the TV version. And then, yeah, this is just nummy. So, also, I've never seen this. So, this will be, of course, suitably the first movie in the box set and the first movie that I would watch. The second one, I got to be careful of this, is Lust for a Vampire. And again, on the back, we have to cover that because you have the same image of the resurrection of the lovely Karstein. And here we have, on this disc set, you have illustrated archival audio interview with Ute Starnsgaard, who plays the titular vampire. And we have Live, Love, Lust, an interview with actress Judy Matheson. Gothic Girl, an interview with actress Kristen Lindholm. Hammer Times, interview with actor Christopher Neame. Cool. A bit of fun, interview with actress Erica Beale. Lust Mel? Oh yeah, interview with actress Mel Churcher. And then Running Blood, interview with production runner Philip Campbell. Gates of Karnstein Castle, archival interview with screenwriter Tudor Gates, who wrote all three of the Karnstein films: The Vampire Lovers, Lust for a Vampire, and then Twins of Evil. The Invisible Prince, the life and legacy of J. Sheridan Le Fanu, which is an interview with William Hughes, a Gothic scholar and co-editor of Open Graves, Open Minds, Representations of Vampires and the Undead from the Enlightenment to the Present Day. Sounds good. And then Strange Love. Strange Love. Carmen Maria Machado, co-author of It Came from the Closet, Queer Reflections on Horror, reframes the sapphic vampire. And then School of the Heaving Bosom, Education, Eroticism, and Lust for a Vampire, a video essay by Dr. Alexandra Heller-Nichols. And then an alternate version of Lesbian Scene. So, yes. We'll see this. Strange Love. If you know, you know. And then finally we have the last one, Fear in the Night. We have Judy Geeson, who popped up in a ad of the week thing, that she starred in a movie called Horror Planet, also known as Inseminoid, which was directed by Norman J. Warren. Came out, I think, 1981. But yeah, she's in here. This is kind of like a Diabolique style film. Sangster was very fond of that narrative structure, and in the 60s he wrote a lot of thrillers for Hammer, like Maniac, Paranoiac, The Anniversary, The Nanny, and others. But he really, really loved that kind of story structure. And this one, let's see. Ooh, it's a 3-disc set. So you're going to have on disc 2, disc 1 is the UHD, and that usually just has like the same stuff gets ported over to the DVD or Blu-ray. So, Peter Cushing discusses Hammer in an archive interview. There's, audio commentaries and such. But disc 2 has The Gaslighter's Playbook, Real and Imagined Horrors in Fear in the Night, Fun in the Day, an interview with a camera operator and production runner. Disc 3, we have Hammer and Beyond, The Jimmy Sangster Legacy, a 2026 documentary by Marcus Hearn, who's a Hammer historian. And that's one I really look forward to seeing, because Sangster is one of the unsung heroes of Hammer. He and Terence Fisher and Nigel Neal are probably the ones that are have the most fingerprints over what we consider Hammer horror and Hammer science fiction. Let's see. Then we have The Man from Bristol, Ralph Bates Remembered, with interviews with his actress and wife Virginia Weatherall and composer son Will Bates, and narrated by Lust for a Vampire co-star Judy Matheson. Looking forward to that. Joan Collins, Queen of the Horror Film, is an interview with House of Psychotic Women author Kirla Janice and telefilm historian Amanda Reyes, who also is featured in the Vinegar Syndrome release of Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. Then there's Hammer in the USA, film historian C. Courtney Joyner on the studio's stateside distribution. And C. Courtney Joyner is a name I know from all the work he did with Full Moon in the 90s. I think he wrote, he might have also directed, but he wrote Trancers 3, and he also wrote and I believe directed The Lurking Fear for Full Moon. Hammer Scribe, archival interview with director Jimmy Sangster, and then we have, I don't know why this is here, but it's Sapphic Bloodsuckers, a cinematic history of the lesbian vampire trope, with Annie Rose Malamet, film scholar and host of Girls, Guts, and Giallo. And then we have I Coined the Karnstein Trilogy, interview with David Peary, author of A Heritage of Horror. So there's a bunch of stuff in here that is just awesome. And this is I am so incredibly stoked about. There's David Prowse on the set of Horror of Frankenstein. So again, Sangster Directs Hammer. He was one of the architects. He wrote, his first movie he wrote is actually one of my favorite Hammer movies, which is X the Unknown, which started off as a sequel to the Quatermass Experiment, or was going to be another Quatermass movie, until Nigel Neal was like, I own Quatermass, you can't use that. Nobody writes Quatermass but me. And Hammer was like, okay. And so they just changed some stuff around and made the movie as a standalone. And it's a very good standalone. And I'm looking forward to sampling this. So, onward to jigsaw puzzles. I decided I kind of procrastinated doing this, but I decided to start to do a reassembly of a puzzle I had, which is called Quarantine Cats. It's from Buffalo Games. And I did this because I made this during the pandemic and did not. It was before I started doing time-lapse video recordings of my jigsaw puzzle assemblies. And I figured, it's time to start integrating those older puzzles that have been sitting in my closet to make sure that they're on the channel, because why not? It's a cute puzzle, and it's cats. Who doesn't love cats? Yeah. Reading wise, I'm only a few pages into Lone Women, which is my attempt at doing June on the Range, but I don't know if I'm going to make it. But this is really good because it's got a nice ominous dark opening, and there's a trunk in here that has a presence. I don't know what's in the trunk. It's locked, but there's a definite like presence about it, and I'm getting. Let me just say, I'm getting Fluffy or Belial vibes. I don't know how much. I don't know if that's going to be what it is or not, but I'm interested to see where this is going, and hopefully I will jump back into this book. I did read 2 short stories from the Weird Women anthology. They were both shorts, and the first was The Gray Man by Sarah Orne Hewitt, and she was best known as, or best remembered as, an American writer of literary regionalism whose stories centered almost exclusively on the coast of Maine. So, which is where this story is set. It is high on the southern slope of Agaminticus, and Mount Agaminticus is a 692 feet tall isolated hill in the town of York, Maine. So, and this is a story about a man with a pallid complexion, like he has been dealt a horrific shock, and a rather blank expression, moves into an abandoned farmstead outside of the town, and at first he befriends a lot of people and helps, and he's a very well liked and very at first, but then people notice that he doesn't smile, and he can't be made to smile. It goes from there. It's a pretty good. It's a very it's a good story. No dialogue, all description, and it's like I said, it's a short. So then we have an even shorter short, which is really, they call this a dreamlike tale, but I think it might be more like a tone poem or something. But it's called In a Far Off World. And the author was Olive Schreiner, who was a South African writer, best remembered for her novel The Story of an American Farm from 1883. And this is a very like I said, it's a short. It's like maybe 2 pages, but it's basically the proximity to which I read this story and saw the film Obsession. It was a nice little piece of synchronicity. It is basically a story of true love and wishing upon that true love, and it's a very nice story. It's a very beautiful story, or almost fable-like dream, and it was first appeared in her 1890 collection, appropriately titled Dreams, because boom, in a far-off world. It says, the first line is, there is a world in one of the far-off stars, and things do not happen here as they happen there. It's good. Then that was the reading. Trail camera. We had a coyote come by. It looks like coyote. I had enjoying the plums and just kind of like sniffing around, having a grand old time. So again, I was worried. I don't know why I get worried, but that there wouldn't be anything for the trail cam because it gets really quiet in the wintertime. But now everything's coming back. We had some deer wander by, and now the coyotes are showing up. The squirrels have been eating up the battery charge on everything because they've just been swarming the ground and just noshing on plums. and they're really cute. But yeah, and viewing wise, let's see. I watched. I watched the first episode of Door into Darkness, which was called The Neighbor. It was written and directed by Luigi Cozzi, who was a frequent collaborator and is a friend of Dario Argento's, and a frequent collaborator. They had worked on Four Flies on Grey Velvet prior to doing this. And then I think they would also work on the 5 Days and Profondo Rosso, and Cozzi would do a lot of like special effects work in between other projects such as Star Crash, which he would do in 1978. And The Neighbor is the first episode, and gosh, I have my notes here in my handy dandy notebook about it, and I will say that it's interesting because it was the show is styled like Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and the with Argento coming out and hosting, and then actually integrating himself into the story as like the narrator, so he kind of like meets the characters as they're heading off to be a part of the story, or for their story. So in this one, his car is broken down, so he hitchhikes, and the people who are en route to their new home, pick him up, and they're like, "Oh, we're moving to the country." And Argento's like, "Hey, country's great. Nothing ever happens there. You'll love it." And "Oh, this is my Yuki. Let me out here." And okay, and then they go off, and then the story progresses. And what it lacks in kind of like narrative complexity, it makes up for in odd atmosphere. There's a couple of really there's one or two really good like suspense moments in it, but there's other moments where I'm just like, I know this is supposed to be suspenseful, but it also feels like unnecessary padding. I also felt that it probably would have made a better half-hour episode than an hour episode, because it just really, there's some things that just happened that was just like, really? Also, the characters have a baby, and the baby disappears for like the second half of the episode. I'm like, wait, they had a baby. What happened to the baby? So, yeah, it wasn't, what's good about it is good, but it has a couple of flaws that are just like, I was kind of like, I was having a problem, with thinking like, wait a minute, why is he taking so long to do this? Why is he doing this out in broad daylight when he could have done it in the middle of the night? Why is this? Why is this? Why is that? And that's kind of like the death of when you have these moments of like where you're questioning the decision making or the storytelling. That's like, okay. I also joked with Tanya later, because she wasn't going to watch this, and I was talking with her. I said, yeah, another thing that bugged me is that they make a big deal about this guy watching Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, because the male protagonist works for a magazine that specializes in horror fiction or horror movies and stuff, and effects pictures. And so he's really excited that Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein is on TV that night, and they're watching it, and the movie airs in reverse. So it starts like in the middle, and then there's stuff from the end, and then there's stuff at the beginning, and then you can actually hear like, "Hi, I'm the Invisible Man," and I'm like, wait a minute, what order did they get? Did somebody drop the reels in this thing and mix it up? Because This is just chaos. They're just showing whatever is exciting about whatever an exciting image from the movie was. And that bothered me. I don't know why, but it bothered me. You know. But the acting was good, and again, it was atmospheric, and I can see why. For television in 1973, I'm pretty sure it was pretty impressive. But in 2026, after I'm just like, yeah, you could tighten this up, you could change. Storytelling and everything is kind of changed. So there's an antiquated feel to it, but I would probably watch it again because I like Argento. I like Luigi Cozzi, both as a filmmaker and as a person. I've met the man. Humble brag, because I've been to the Profondo Rosso store. So yeah. There's 2 more episodes left of Door into Darkness, and there's a whole bunch of special features in here too. So I'm glad that I'm finally being able to see the legendary television show that made Argento a household name in Italy. And I believe that's it for Stuff of the Week. Yeah, little small batch of stuff, packed, stacked, and racked, which means it's time to get started on next week. But next week, we have some travel. So I'm going to be out of town, so there's going to be no episode of Stuff of the Week or ads for the week next weekend. Going on a temporary travel hiatus. Hopefully I'll be able to hit up some used bookstores or something during our travels. I don't know. Also, Tanya and I had a heart-to-heart this morning about Sam's approaching the Rainbow Bridge. He's closer. He's still energetic. He's still that, but he's still losing weight. His hunger is down, and while he's not exactly isolating from us, he's not. He's like I said, and last time he's dying, and there's a very real possibility that this trip, he might pass during this trip. And Anya asked me if I'd be okay if that happened, if I was not here. There'll be a house sitter, and I'll talk with my therapist tomorrow about that. But I hate ending these things on a downer note, but this is part of life. It's part of the stuff of life, and it makes the happy moments and the joy you can find day to day pop a little more. So until next time, let's all try and have some fun, okay? Bye. Enough is never enough.